MG is building a pickup to go after the Hilux and Ranger, and the plan hiding behind it is bigger than it looks. A diesel hybrid powertrain, long-range efficiency and off-road tech that could flip the market. But can MG, a brand known for city cars and EVs, really win in the toughest segment on Earth? Here's the story of how we got here, what MG is actually making for 2026, and the one number that will decide everything at the end. It starts in a place most people forget. MG has already tried the pickup game. Back in 2019 in Thailand, MG launched a truck called the MG Extender. It looked bold, it undercut the market on price, and it borrowed its bones from SAIC's Maxus T90. It had a 2.0-liter turbo diesel, rear or four-wheel drive, and a simple mission beat the Hilux on value. It sold, but it didn't steal the crown. Why? Because the pickup world is unforgiving. Buyers want more than a good deal. They want strength, reliability, dealer support, and a name that's proven in mines, farms, jungles, and deserts. The Extender was a lesson. MG didn't forget it. Meanwhile, the rest of MG's lineup exploded. MG 4EV, ZSEV, and HS plug-in hybrids pulled the brand into headlines across Europe, Asia, and Australia. MG kept growing its factories and dealer networks, especially in Thailand and China. That is important. Thailand is the global heartland of mid-size pickups. If you want to win this segment, you build in Thailand. MG now has the footprint to try again, and this time the conditions are different. The pickup world is changing fast. Toyota added a 48-volt mild hybrid to the Hilux in 2024. Ford announced a Ranger plug-in hybrid for 2025 in Europe with a petrol engine, electric boost, and up to 3.5 tons towing. Great Wall rolled out the Shanhai Cannon PHEV. BYD launched the Shark Hybrid with real electric range. Hybrids are no longer a weird experiment in this class. They are the next arms race. And MG, backed by SAIC's deep bench of hybrid tech, sees a lane no one has fully owned yet. So what is MG building for 2026? Here's what industry chatter, supplier leaks, and MG's own moves suggest. MG is developing a new mid-size pickup on an updated ladder frame platform shared with SAIC's Maxus Utes. Think the next evolution after the Maxus T90 and T70, with more rigidity and space for batteries. The truck will likely be assembled in Thailand for ASEAN markets, with China as the engineering base. There should be 3 powertrains at launch or soon after: a turbo diesel 4x2 and 4x4 for fleets and value buyers, a stronger 4x4 for towing and off-road enthusiasts, and the headline act, a plug-in hybrid 4x4 designed to combine diesel grunt with electric torque and silent city driving. But it gets crazier. Diesel plug-in hybrids are rare. Petrol PHEV pickups are already coming, but diesel PHEVs face tougher emissions rules and more complex after-treatment. If MG clears that hurdle at scale, it can deliver the two things truck buyers dream about, but almost never get together: low running costs and serious towing torque. Let me tell you this, if they nail it, the spec sheet will look wild for the price. We need to talk numbers because trucks live and die by them. A normal Hilux 2.8 diesel makes around 201 horsepower and 500 Newton-meters of torque. The Ranger 2.0 bi-turbo is in the same ballpark. That is plenty for work, but hybrids change the math. Electric motors deliver all their torque from 0 RPM. That means instant shove off the line and better control on steep climbs. MG's likely path is this: a 2.0-liter SAIC turbo diesel paired with a single or dual electric motor setup and a multi-mode hybrid transmission. On paper, you would expect combined output in a 300 to 350 horsepower range with 650 to 750 Newton-meters of torque. For context, that would beat a Hilux and match or exceed most diesel Rangers and sit near the new crop of Chinese PHEV Utes. You thought that was big? Try this. All that torque at low speed is what gets you and your trailer up a slippery boat ramp on the first try. Range and efficiency matter more than bragging rights. In city use, a plug-in hybrid can drive on electricity for the first part of most trips. That saves fuel and cuts noise. In long highway hauls, the diesel can take over. The exact battery size MG uses will decide the electric-only range. Rival PHEV pickups are landing between 40 and 100 kilometers of EV range on testing cycles. That means a battery of roughly 20 to 30 kilowatt hours. Expect MG to use LFP cells, lithium iron phosphate, which are cheaper and more stable thermally. On a full tank and full charge, a total range close to 800 to 1000 kilometers is realistic, because the diesel still carries the long-haul part of the job. Without charging, fuel consumption should be in line with a good modern diesel 4x4 ute, about 8 to 9 liters per 100 kilometers on the highway if not overloaded, which is mid to high 20s mpg in US terms. With daily charging, your city fuel use can drop to near zero for commutes under the EV range. Plug-in hybrid is a simple idea in practice. You plug the truck into your home or a public charger. You leave each morning with an electric buffer, drive to work quietly on electric power, hit the highway or hook up a trailer, and the diesel wakes up and joins in. Every time you lift off the pedal or brake, the truck captures a bit of energy and stores it back into the battery. That is called regenerative braking. It feels like the truck is helping you slow down. It also saves your brake pads. For a truck with a load, that is not a gimmick, it is money saved. There's a reason MG has a shot at this. SAIC has been shipping hybrid transmissions and control software for years in Rowe and MG cars. The MG HS plug-in hybrid is a top seller in markets like the UK. The MG4 EV has vehicle to load, which lets you power devices from the car. MG knows how to blend electric and combustion power smoothly and keep costs down. The leap from SUVs to pickups is about packaging, cooling, and durability. That is hard work, but it's engineering, not magic. And here's where it gets wild. Expect MG to bring campsite power to the pickup bed. Vehicle to load, or V2L, means you can plug tools, lights, or even a small grill straight into the truck. We're talking a 220 to 240 volt outlet with around 2 to 3.3 kilowatts of output. That will run a fridge, a work light tower, a laptop, and a coffee maker at the same time. Some setups can power a small home circuit for a while during an outage. Imagine running an angle grinder on a job site out of your tailgate without a separate generator. That is not a party trick. It's useful. Off-road is where this truck will have to prove it. The words that matter are traction, clearance, and cooling. Traction is how the truck puts power down without slipping. Expect an electronic four-wheel drive system that can send torque to the wheels that still have grip. It may offer a locking rear differential, a simple tough tool that locks both rear wheels together so they turn at the same speed. Some hybrid utes do without a traditional low-range transfer case, but a truck built for real off-road use should keep it. Low range multiplies torque at crawling speeds, which saves stress and heat. If MG uses an E-motor for the rear axle, it can simulate the effect with software, but old-school low range still wins for extreme climbs with a heavy load. The smart move is both gear-based low range plus electric torque fill. Clearance is simple. You need the truck high enough to drive over ruts and rocks without scraping the belly. Expect around 220 to 250 millimeters of ground clearance. Approach and departure angles, the steepness of slopes you can climb onto and off, should be competitive with a Hilux and Ranger. That means approach around 30 degrees, departure near the high 20s, give or take by trim and bumper. A wading depth of 700 to 800 millimeters sounds flashy, but with a hybrid, water sealing is extra critical. The battery pack, wiring, and electric motors need serious protection and venting. MG cannot fake that. The off-road crowd will test it the first week. Cooling is the hidden boss level. Towing up a long grade in hot weather puts the engine, motors, battery, and transmission under stress. The truck's radiators, intercoolers, and battery thermal management need to be oversized. If MG goes cheap here, the truck will pull hard for 10 minutes and then fade. If they get it right, it'll hold torque all day in the heat. That's the difference between a weekend toy and a work truck. So what about towing and payload? This is where the market decides if it's a contender. The gold standard in this class is a 3.5-ton brake towing rating in many markets, plus a payload near 1 ton in the bed. Ford says the Ranger PHEV will still tow up to 3.5 tons. BYD's Shark Hybrid, launched with a lower figure, around 2.5 to 2.8 tons depending on market. If MG's hybrid can hit 3.0 to 3.5 tons without overheating, that changes everything. Not just on paper, but for fleets buying in bulk. The second figure, gross combined mass, or how heavy the truck plus trailer can be, will tell us if the hybrid calculus is ready for real work. And if you're new to the terms, payload is simply how much weight you can put in the bed. Towing is what you can pull behind you, both matter. Inside the cabin, MG will play a familiar card, make the cabin feel like a good SUV. We're talking a quiet cabin, leather options, heated and ventilated seats in higher trims, and a big central screen paired with a digital driver display. MG's newer cars use a fast infotainment system with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, over-the-air software updates, and 360-degree camera views for tight spots. Expect that here, plus off-road camera views that show your front tires and underbody. That is a lifesaver on rocky tracks. There should be physical buttons for core functions, gloves don't work well on touchscreens, and rubberized storage for tools and straps. The sweet spot is mixing tech with toughness. Floor mats that can take mud, plus a clean interface that does not bury the diff lock 3 menus deep. Safety will not be optional. The Australian and European markets demand 5-star crash ratings now, even for utes. To get there, MG will pack in 8 airbags on higher trims, a strong ladder frame with crumple zones, and a full suite of driver assist tech. If you're not sure what those features do, here's the quick version. Adaptive cruise control keeps your speed and distance from the car in front on a highway. Lane keep assist nudges the steering to keep you between lines. Blind spot monitoring watches your blind spots and warns you. Automatic emergency braking hits the brakes if a car or person appears in front and you don't react in time. A driver attention system watches for signs you're getting tired. These are not sci-fi anymore. They are standard in modern trucks, and MG's own MG Pilot system already ships across its cars. Now the big question: price. MG wins markets by pricing aggressively, but plug-in hybrid hardware is expensive. You're paying for an engine, a motor, a battery, and all the cooling and control systems to make them play nice. So here's the realistic range by market. In Thailand, where pickups are king, a base 4x2 diesel manual could start around 800,000 to 900,000 baht if MG wants to slam the door open. A well-equipped 4x4 diesel might sit around 1.1 to 1.3 million baht. The plug-in hybrid 4x4 could reach 1.4 to 1.7 million baht, depending on battery size and taxes. In US dollars, think low $20, 000 ZAUs to mid $30, 000 ZAUs for diesels in value markets, and mid $40, 000 ZAUs for the PHEV, where incentives help. In Europe, where taxes and safety gear add cost, expect the PHEV to land in the 45,000 euros to 60,000 euros range depending on trim. In Australia, $45,000 to $70,000 EUD would not be surprising across the spread. But wait, this next part changes everything. If MG manages to undercut equivalent hybrid rivals by 10 to 15% and keeps the features list packed, they won't just sell trucks. They'll force discounts across the segment. When does it arrive? MG has not stamped a date on posters yet, but the timeline that keeps showing up is this reveal in early 2026, first sales in China and Thailand, followed by rollout to other Asian markets, then selected European countries. India is possible later, but pickups are a niche there compared to SUVs. North America is the long shot. MG doesn't sell cars in the US today, and meeting US crash, emissions and dealer rules for a pickup is a mountain of its own. The core battle will be Asia Pacific and parts of Europe, where the Hilux and Ranger have ruled for years. You might be thinking, this all sounds clean on paper. What about reliability? That is the elephant in the ute bed. Toyota and Ford win because fleets buy them by the thousands and prove them for a decade. They go through corrugations, river crossings and bad diesel, and the trucks keep working. MG knows this, so here's what they can and can't control. They can design the battery pack with proper sealing and drain paths so water crossings don't spell disaster. They can add thick skid plates to protect the underside. They can oversize cooling so towing doesn't cook the system. They can test the frame and suspension on punishing durability rigs. And they can back it with a long warranty. 7 years is common on MG cars. What they can't shortcut is the dealer network's ability to fix things fast in remote areas. That takes training and time. If MG gets stuck waiting on parts or software updates while a truck is down, word spreads fast in the pickup world. Here's a quiet advantage MG could lean on. Diesel after-treatment systems, the bits that clean emissions, have gotten better but also fussier. That means urea tanks, sensors and filters that need love. Hybrids spend more time with the engine off or under lighter load in the city. That can help reduce soot buildup and save fuel. It also means fewer idle hours. Over a year, that can cut your service costs a bit. Not dramatic, but every little bit helps on a work truck. What about the style and the feel? Let's be honest, it needs presence. Expect a wide grille with a modern MG badge, slim LED headlights, and a tough front bumper that actually protects things. The body will look muscular because that is the language of this segment. But there's a trick to making a truck look good and still work. You need short overhangs front and rear so you don't scrape on slopes. You need practical steps and rails that can take weight. You need a bed that fits real cargo pallets, motorcycles, camping gear, and tie-downs in the right places. A powered tailgate sounds cool, but it has to keep working after a year of dust and mud. The best trucks are the ones you stop noticing because they just do the job. MG has to earn that. Let's talk about how it might drive. On electric power alone around town, it will be quiet and smooth. That's the gift of a motor. In traffic, it will creep and crawl without the vibration you get from diesels at idle. On the highway with the diesel on, the hybrid system should fill in the torque when you shift or climb, so it feels more like one long surge than a series of steps. If MG tunes the suspension right, the truck should feel settled with a load and not too bouncy when empty. Many pickups feel harsh with no load because their rear springs are designed for heavy cargo. A smart adaptive suspension can help. Raise the body a bit on rough tracks, lower it a touch on the highway to save fuel and feel planted. Some rivals already do this. Expect MG to follow. Charging is simple. Most PHEVs charge overnight on a home wall box at around 7 kilowatts AC. That means a 20 to 30 kilowatt-hour battery fills in a few hours while you sleep. If MG adds DC fast charging to the PHEV, and that's a big if, you could top up the battery in about 20 to 30 minutes on the go. But many PHEVs skip DC to save cost and weight. The bigger win is starting every day with a full electric buffer from your garage. That is what cuts your fuel bill. There's one more piece we have to look at: software. Hybrids are software. They need to decide when to use the motor, when to use the engine, when to use both, and how to warm up the engine cleanly so emissions stay low. They need to understand when you're towing, when you're off-road, when you're in the city, and adapt on the fly. This is where MG's years of hybrid SUVs matter. The trick will be tuning a different kind of vehicle with different drivers: a tradie in boots, a farmer on corrugated roads, a family doing school runs in the week, and trail runs on the weekend. If MG gets the logic right, the truck will feel like it's always in the right mode without you thinking about it. If they get it wrong, it'll feel confused. But what if I told you the competitors aren't waiting? Ford's Ranger PHEV is coming in 2025 with EV-only range for short commutes and that full 3.5-ton tow rating. Toyota is working on the next Hilux, and they've already added a mild hybrid to the current one. BYD, Great Wall, and others are moving fast with hybrids. This is good for buyers. It means MG can't win by showing up. It needs a hook. The hook can be price, power, range, and features all at once. That is MG's formula. Undercut by a chunk, pack the spec sheet, and make the design pop. It worked with the MG4 EV and HS PHEV. A pickup is tougher but not impossible. Here's a clear way to see it. Imagine two owners living side by side. One drives a diesel Hilux 30 kilometers a day to work and back, plus weekend trips. The other drives the MG Hybrid. In the city, the Hilux burns diesel at idle in traffic. The MG does most of that on electricity. After a year, the MG owner has filled up far fewer times, and the truck is quieter in the driveway at 6 a.m. when they head out. On a long holiday tow, both trucks drink fuel, but the MG uses the motor to help on hills, keeping the revs lower and the cabin calmer. After 5 years, the MG owner has spent less on fuel if they've been charging often, but the Hilux may hold more resale value and will have a huge service network behind it. That's the trade people will weigh. Let's talk reliability history honestly. MG's modern cars have improved fast, but the brand is still building trust with truck buyers. Fleet managers look at repair rates, resale auctions, and how fast dealers turn around parts. They look at rust protection on frames, wiring durability in heat and dust, and how well seals hold up after thousands of kilometers on corrugations. This is why you see Hiluxes with 500,000 kilometers still working. MG doesn't have that track record in pickups yet. So the first buyers will be the bold ones, early adopters and value hunters. If their trucks hold up and word spreads, the next wave will follow. One small piece of humor for the road.
If MG puts a power outlet label in the bed, just promise me they won't bury the switch in the 7th page of a settings menu. People will try to charge a blender while making camp tacos. Make it a big physical button. That's how you win fans. By now you might be asking, how close is MG to all this? The signals are strong. Test mules tied to SAIC's next-gen ladder frame have been spotted in China. MG Thailand has hinted at a new pickup direction. Supplier chatter around battery enclosures and hybrid gearboxes points to 2026. The exact badge, whether MG revives the extender name or uses a bold new number, remains to be seen. But the intent is clear. MG is re-entering the pickup fight with hybrid firepower, so what's the number that decides everything? 3.5. If the MG Hybrid can tow 3.5 tons in hot weather, hold speed on long grades, and not overheat, the old excuses fall away. Add an EV city range near the 60 to 100 kilometer mark, real off-road hardware, and a price that undercuts rivals by at least 10%, and fleet buyers will start to run the math. If MG misses on that tow number, if it lands at 2.5 tons, it will still sell to adventurers and families, but it won't unseat the kings. And here's the last twist. Even if MG nails the spec, the market won't flip in a month. Pickups are slow to change, but they do change. 10 years ago, a hybrid ute sounded like a joke. Now Ford, Toyota, BYD, GWM and MG are all racing there. The winner will be the truck that feels simple but is secretly smart, that saves you money Monday to Friday and takes you anywhere on Saturday, and that just keeps starting on Sunday. If MG's 2026 pickup can be that truck and keep the price honest, it won't just challenge the Hilux and Ranger, it will force them to get better faster. So is MG about to shake the segment? The pieces are on the table. A diesel hybrid with real torque, vehicle to load power for tools and campsites, long range without giving up towing. A cabin that feels like a modern SUV, safety tech that checks every box, and a launch plan that targets the heartlands first. We'll see the truth in the first fleet orders, the first hill climbs with a trailer, and the first owners reporting back after a year of work. Until then, watch that one number. If the tow rating and thermal performance land where they need to, the rest of the story writes itself.